grab a magnet, and you notice as we put it towards a compass, you'll start to be able to draw all the field lines as the compass turns. Now, based on what we've seen before and how we've done things, field always comes out of the north, right? And it's like a continuous arrow into the south, just like that. And it basically applies to both sides. And as you remember, when we drew out the magnetic fields, we always got this sort of butterfly shape. Now, here's the thing you do need to be aware of, okay? As time goes on, these lines will add up, and you'll get something that is less the shape of like an egg beater, per se, where you have all the lines coming out in their own individual fashion, and all these lines will be more infinitely, well, clumped together. In other words, you have more than like just a few, like in this case, maybe about 8 coming together and just looping around. You have more like towards infinity. These things continue happening over and over and over until your shape is more amorphous and more towards something like this plastic bag. You notice it's like has all the shapes. Now what gets interesting is if you add another magnet into this equation, right? And what we've seen before is that if you go ahead and add another magnet, the magnetic field is forced to change. For example, where we used to go ahead and have everything pointing out the north and into the south, like we did here, notice now we have a very different system where basically we're going to, let's see if I can get it. You notice my magnet is no longer pointing into the south end. Now it's pointing away. It's pointing this way. And you can actually adjust these fields. These fields are essentially kind of just coming into each other. And let's go ahead and just keep drawing out the field just to go ahead and have an idea of what it looks like. Let's put it right here. These fields have a tendency to kind of combine and run into each other and just kind of smush up against each other, or if we went ahead and got them to repel, right, they will kind of distance themselves from each other the same way that most people are right now. Okay. You can see here, even at this point, they don't really smush in as well as they did, and everything is just pointing away. There we go. And you can see this is the magnetic field we drew this, and you can think of this as that amorphous blob, your bag again, but kind of crushing into maybe what would be another bag, or maybe morphing and combining into another bag at certain places. This is actually the fascinating thing about magnetism that we've been trying to figure out lately, but we then have to go ahead and ask this question, right? We've been trying to go ahead and figure out what is the big point about generating renewable energy. How do we go ahead and get renewable energy and starting from one resource and to go through the key component, which is the motor, right? And then after we decide, why don't we go ahead and let's take a motor and let's open that up. Okay. Now I've been asking you, how does this work? How do we go ahead and get motor from a renewable energy source to come in through this way and produce electrical energy going through this way? That is the entire point of this thing. All right. So you can see right here, that's what we have, and we decide to go ahead and open it up. And you notice we have this. Now, so far we've covered out the magnetic field, and we discussed what's happening with these magnets inside. The question we want to ask now is that, what is the deal with these wires? And we started that by asking ourselves what happens when you get this piece of aluminum foil, right? and you do something with it. Okay? So this is kind of the question of what is happening to this wire. Specifically, when you go ahead and add something into it. And those of you who've done the lab, you should know what I'm talking about. That makes it interact with the magnetic fields within this motor. Okay? Some of you tried it out with a compass, okay? Some of you locked it out with a magnet, okay? So, that's kind of our big question right now, and that's going to be kind of the last few lessons that I'm going to be teaching here as we're going ahead and continuing online. Okay, so there are two things I want you to do with this. I'm going to go ahead and post these assignments here. I'm going to make them due Friday for you guys. Okay, to start, I want you to go ahead and add the magnetic field to your motor model. Knowing what we know right now about the Oersted effect and also magnetic fields, can you go ahead and add that to your magnetic field model going through here? Okay. 2, there will be a PowerPoint being posted here. I want you to go ahead and go through the PowerPoint. There will be a set of questions being added on in terms of a Google form that I will ask you to fill out. These questions are also in the book if you want a closer look at them. I will be going ahead and referencing the pages you will need, and also if there's any other resources we can also go through during this time. Again, I do kind of wish that we would be here together so we could do something more interactive, but there is a point I am trying to make here as we move on.